Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Build Your Brand for Social Media with MAPS coach, Dina Watson. Please note this webinar is being recorded and you will automatically receive the webinar recording. If you have questions for your coach, please type them into the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at maps@kw.com. That is MAPS@kw.com. That's all for me. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I want to say, first of all, thanks you guys for being here. If you can hear me, just let me get a mic check from you real quick. Pop into the questions box your favorite thing that you have learned through a class you have taken recently. It doesn't matter from where. Favorite class, favorite thing you've learned. You can hear me. All right, cool. Perfect. So as she said, go ahead and pop the questions that you guys have as you have them in the questions box. And as soon as we can get to a stopping point that makes sense, I will go back and answer them for you. Like I said, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. My name is Dina Watson. I am a MAPS coach and also the group coaching program coach for social media through MAPS. And so one of the things I have for you today, I always have a goal of making sure that people can leave any webinar, whether it be free, whether it be something they see on online platform, whether they're paying for it, no matter what. My goal here is that you walk away with a couple of things you can do and take action on in your business in the next 24 hours. So my goal here for us today is that you get a little bit of an overview of some of the tips and tricks to build a big brand on social media. Obviously, we do have this as a group coaching 8-week course, and I'll give you that information at the end if you want it. But no matter what, my goal here for you is to spend 30 minutes with me and make sure you get something you can put into your own business towards the end of this call, and you can walk away with that. So with that being said, let's get started. As I told you, my name is Dina Watson. I am a military spouse. My husband is in the Army, and I live in Fayetteville, North Carolina, but haven't lived there for very long. And all of this there's a purpose for me to tell you all of these things. First purpose is, as a military spouse, we move, and we move a lot. We move about every 3 years. There was a time where about every 18 months for about 3 years we were moving. And when I'm saying moving, it doesn't mean we're moving into the house down the street, right? You guys, I've had to start my business over from scratch so many times that it almost didn't make sense a few of the times to even get started again. And the way that I was able to do this was 100% through diving in to the ins and outs of social media, specifically Facebook, and learning through trial and error, honestly, for a long time, how to actually do this in a big way that is sustainable over time. So the things that I told you at the beginning are important because I want you to know two things. Number one, I've been in a position where I have had to start over. So for those of you who are new, those of you finding yourself adapting to the social media world, even though you've been in the business forever, those of you who just had to move and start over, I get you. I hear you. It's hard. And for the rest of you who are just here to understand how to build a big business, the most important thing you can take away from this course is that it is consistently time on task over time. There is no magic pill here. There's no bullet that's going to send you, rocket ship to the moon. The other thing I want you to understand is that I'm teaching you something that I'm actively doing on a daily basis in my own business. One thing I didn't share is that I currently still run a mega team out in Fayetteville, and most of our business comes from social media. And by most, I mean every year we crest over 100. And so a huge portion of that many transactions comes from relationships that I've built over the years by doing some of these best practices. So we're going to kick this off. Like I said, if you have questions, put them in the questions box. But I'm going to give you some of the best practices here. But during the course, if you actually choose to take the 8-week course, you will hear many more of them. We're going to talk a little bit today about building your brand, the best and worst times to post, and what you need to know in order to build a large business. So step one in anything social media, which I know you guys, this is not the most fun part. To some people who are creative, it might be. Step one is always going to be your branding, okay? And your brand is going to be made up of a few things. Number one, let's just address what it is in the first place so you'll know what it's not, okay? Branding is basically the promotion of a particular product or company by means of advertising it. In the basic sense of the word, branding is you advertising and selling yourself online as a product or a service, okay? Think about the big brands that you know of. Is it a Q-tip or is it a cotton swab, right? Is it a Kleenex or do you ask for a facial tissue? When someone's asking you a question, I often say, I don't know, Google it. Google is a brand, Q-tips is actually a brand, and so is Kleenex. And yet we use these things interchangeably for the products and services that we use every day. Now, why is that important? Number one, the average human being, when asked, can only recall up to 3 particular options for any given brand, okay? So for any given product. So for any given product, the average person can only think of up to 3. And if given time, they can think of more. But how do we get you into the top 3? Now, if you're already in the top 3 on recall, how do we get you to number 1? That's a question I want you to write down. How can I use branding to at least get myself into the top 3 of mind share with people when they think of a realtor? You can't have market share until you have mind share. I'll say it again for the people in the back and for those of you who didn't write it down. This is so important. You cannot have market share until you take mind share. So the first phase of this and what branding is designed to do is to help you take mind share. Okay, really important here. There are some other things you need to know, and I've had somebody in one of these webinars in the past say, what does this have to do with selling homes on social media? And I will tell you, it has everything to do with selling homes on social media. And I'll tell you why in a minute, but it is really important that you guys pay attention here as well. So components of a great brand, and I want you to take these and check yourself to see if you have these. Number one, identifiable logo and colors, okay? Why is that important? Well, you guys, it's 2020, it's quarantine, it's pandemic. It is a time in life where everybody is scrolling the internet. It's an election season. Everybody's looking on the internet at some point during the day. Almost everyone, I can confidently say, that has a computer or a smartphone uses it on a daily basis. And I will also be confident in the fact that I know that a lot of realtors are now understanding that social media can be a place to sell real estate. So an identifiable logo and an identifiable set of colors will help you stand out when people are mindlessly scrolling social media during their time at home. Okay, it's recognition over and over and over and over again that they're seeing the same colors and the same logo. It makes them think you're busier than maybe you even are, okay? Next component of a great brand is a clear brand promise. What are you promising to your consumer? What are you going to promise them? I also want to take a time out here and ask you to go deeper. I don't know what you just wrote down because, to be quite frank, I can't see it. But go a little deeper than that. Don't say I promised them to sell their home for the most amount of money in the least amount of time. Don't stop there. Keep going. And I want you to really write this down. What are you promising to deliver for them? Anybody can say they deliver the most amount of money in the least amount of time. And to be quite honest, you guys, in a lot of our markets, the market's doing that for us. We're not. I hope you don't think that it's all us that's driving this crazy inventory challenge we have across the country. It's not. We're capitalizing on it, right? So whenever you see people, oh, I sold this home in one day, and you know that's the only house they've ever sold, there's still something to be said about the fact that they're promoting that and they're kind of making a brand promise, right? The next thing is the target market. Get really specific on identifying who you are marketing to, okay? So for me, I'll give you an idea. My target market, though you might think so by listening to me talk, is not the military service member. It's their spouse. Okay, so I'll give you an idea of why, and I want you to listen because I want you to go deeper than what you have before in identifying who your target is. And this matters because you're going to use this to define your message, which defines your advertising, which gets you business on social media. So play along with me real quick. Some people will say, why is it the military spouse? And I'll tell you, Being a military spouse, you are the one doing most of the legwork when things come up that you're going to be moving. So I don't have to appeal to the service member if I can appeal to the person doing the work to find the real estate transaction, okay, to find the home. So for us, if we know we can snag him or her, we will then also get the service member by the fact that we are a military ran organization, okay? So think a little bit deeper than what you have before. Next, design consistency and a strategy on how are you going to reach the people that you are saying is your target market. Those are the 6 really great components of a brand. So if you don't have one of those, that's okay. We're all starting somewhere, right? Or if you have a set of colors or a logo that just no longer speaks to you, brands go through rebranding all the time. It's okay. We did it a couple years ago. If you're realizing that something isn't meshing with your target audience anymore or what have you, it's okay to think about rebranding that. Step 2, so step 1, just to recap, have a strong brand. Step 2, define your message and your audience. So think through some things for me real quick. With your target audience, you're going to need to know these things because when you create marketing materials of any kind, whether it be social media or not, you're going to need to know, is the person I'm speaking to receiving the message in the way that I intended for them to? So I'll give you another example. When we put out ads, sometimes it will say, hey, you sitting behind the computer, scared to death to PCS, which means permanent change of station for the military. It means you're moving. Now, who do you think is sitting behind the desk on that computer, scared to death to move? It's the spouse who's having to start over again. It's the spouse who is having to put their kids back in school again. It's the spouse who doesn't walk in to an automatic network of people because she or he won't have a job. Okay, so that tells that person, oh, wow, she's talking to me. Okay, so there are some things you need to think about. Don't just spray and pray, as people say. A couple of things to consider. How old is your target market? Now, before I get somebody who's a little upset by my asking this question, I'm not saying you are segregating people or you are choosing not to work with everyone. I'm just saying you need to define who you had if you had a preference. Okay, nothing wrong with this. There's no, I don't really even know the word for it right now, but you're not discriminating against anyone. You're just picking, if you had a choice, who is choice number 1. How old are they? What are their interests? There are people that I know and that I've coached in the past who sell a lot of real estate to other people who ride horses because that's their interest. A lot of their branding and things like that are wrapped up in equestrian and farm and horse property and all these things, right? So what are their interests? You can even go as far as to figure out where do they work or what is their socioeconomic status, meaning how much money do they make? Are you wanting to get into the luxury market? That's an important thing to know. So like I said, this doesn't mean that you don't sell to everyone, but this does mean that you have a specific intention for who you're speaking to when you're making these ads. Every time you post anything on social media, you guys, you are defining yourself as a human being and as a business person. And most importantly, you're defining and creating your brand. So there are this particular webinar is a really good time to bring this up. Every time you are on social media bashing any person, polarizing conversations you're having, if you don't believe this way, you're wrong. Here's the thing, it's your social media and you do what you want, okay? But please understand that every time you're talking about something, if you are the owner of that business, it's almost as if the business is saying the same thing, okay? And we all know how this goes. We all know how somebody who owns a business saying something they believe that people don't believe in can cost them their business. We're seeing that even in the CrossFit world right now, right? We're seeing these whole social movements of people who are standing up against huge companies and saying, I don't agree with what you said, and I'm willing to take my business elsewhere because of it. So while you might feel like it's your right to free speech, and it is, there are also sometimes things you have to understand as consequences, okay? So some best practices here, talk about the things that you hold true to yourself. What are some core values, some things you believe in? Talk about them in a positive way. Avoid the old school sales tactics. Make sure you're providing value first. I've always been taught that you should never ask for something before giving something to the same person you want to ask from, okay? So until you've given them value, don't ask them to buy anything from you. Value could be things like sharing where are the nearest dog parks, where are the coolest restaurants in town, where can you go get, like, for example, there's this really cool place to go groom your dog by yourself where I live, which who knew? But I would rather do that than have them in my house and like getting water all over my couch and stuff, right? So think about things that provide value to the community, not just to help sell real estate. Speak clearly about your goals. You guys, we have like a week until the fourth quarter. If you have not hit your goal, talk about the fact that you have a huge goal this year and you need their help. People want to help. Just put it out there. People want to help. First and foremost, if you can, always be positive, upbeat, and stay away from any of the drama going on in the world right now. Just keep in mind that people who are buying with you or selling with you are 100% scoping you out online if they can. Okay, so just be aware of that. So step 1 was branding. Step 2 was defining who you're talking to, and step 3 is going to be marketing to them. Now, in the course and also here, there are a couple of things that we go into. One is, what is a lead ad versus a boosted post? And to answer your question, in the full course, yes, we do address KW Command and how to use Command to promote some ads and what the results are from that. So I've had people ask that before. So before you ask, yes, that is part of the full course. But I want to today go through some very key differences to make sure that when you're putting things out on Facebook, you're getting back what you want. Number 1 is boosted posts or boosted ads, boosted posts, whatever you want to call them, are the most basic type of advertising on Facebook. There's basically no true goal here other than just to create visibility for whatever it is that you posted. Okay, that's it. There's a lot of people who come into the class and they'll say, I boost everything and no one engages with me. Well, my dear, that's because that's the way it's designed. Unfortunately, Facebook's boosted post feature is kind of like the bus, park bench that you advertise on, or the wrap on the city bus. It's just there for awareness. It's not necessarily there to create huge levels of engagement. And so people have asked, how'd you sell 50 houses your first year in a new place all on Facebook? And the answer to that is, I didn't do either of these. I spent a little more time, and if you were at Mega Camp, you might have heard Nikki Klein speak, but same thing as what she's doing. I spent a lot of time in creating groups on Facebook because groups are created for engagement 100%, and that is something I'll go into in a minute. Lead ads are a more customized way of marketing on Facebook. When you create an ad in Command, you're technically creating a lead ad, which is a really easy way to do it. So that's a perfect place for you guys to go and spend some money. I saw somewhere yesterday that the average lead on Command is $1.72 or something like that, $1.70 something. And a lot of us who are paying for leads, if you're paying for them outside of that, you might be spending upwards of $10, $15, $20 per lead. So what would your business look like if you got 17 leads for every one you're currently spending on by using Command? I don't know. You can answer that question. Lead ads also offer a variety of goals and options on how you want to place your marketing message into the public. Are you promoting an event like an open house, or like some sort of buyer or seller seminar, or like the other awesome lady, Kimberly at Mega Camp? Are you promoting she used to do the events at the brewery. She does them at home now, right? You could also do ones to promote your videos to get more views, create brand awareness, call to action buttons, or you can offer something like maybe a free CMA or a home warranty. I'm going to go into for a second about what are the best and worst times to post when it's coming to marketing things. And then we're going to go into groups for just a minute. I do want to honor your time and get you out of here as we've promised in your 30 minutes for the webinar. So I don't want to go over too long and keep you. Best and worst times to post. First of all, I will say when you're marketing something, make sure your audience is watching. Well, Dina, how will I know that? just think about a couple things. You can use programs to see when the highest likelihood of someone to see it. There are programs online for that. Or you can also just think through who your audience is. So my audience being the military community, there are a few key times that they are not at home or not on their phone, right? Normally between 9 and 11:30, and again, normally between 12:30 to 1, all the way into about 4 or 5 o'clock. So we don't post a whole lot of advertising in those two voids, the 9 to 11:30 and then the 1 to 5. We post most of our stuff early in the morning, a little bit towards the evening, or right at lunchtime. As you're posting, as everyone else is posting, what you put up there is going down in the rankings. It's going down. So it's really important for you guys to figure out when your community is online and post during those time periods. In general, and this is a national average, this is not me or you, this is just nationally, weekdays between 1 and 4 p.m. local time gets the highest click-through ratings, meaning that people are actually clicking through these ads. The overall peak time throughout the week is Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Worst times are weekends before 8 a.m. and after 8 p.m. for obvious reasons. So you've got your brand, you've got your message, and here's what you're marketing and when, just to bring this whole thing full circle. Now let's talk for a second, like I said, about what is the right approach to get the right result. People have asked, how many ads did you have to place to sell 50 homes? And my answer was 0. I didn't pay a penny. I didn't buy anything. I didn't create ads. I basically went and looked at the fact that my community was missing a group for minus housing, but you could do anything. They were missing a group that was engaging with the public at a high level and keeping realtors out. There were plenty of these groups that had realtors in them, but the public wasn't posting there because they were afraid. They didn't want to be sold. So what I did was I came in, created a group for housing, of which I've never allowed realtors, lenders, title reps, salespeople, security folks, water softener sales. I'm being silly now, but I've never allowed those people in the group. The reason being is because I wanted the group to be a safe place for the public to be able to speak. There's a key difference between a business page and a group. The business page that you're putting all these ads out on is meant to be, think about it in the sense of like the park bench or the bus that's wrapped, or some people take out here ads on the back of grocery carts. That is basically supposed to show that you are a legitimate person who's doing a legitimate business, not to have people speak to you. I would almost hope that none of the people who place ads in those places actually think someone's going to call them because they saw their sign on a billboard. That's very few and far between. Where people do get high levels of callbacks is when they're engaging with the community, getting into groups, getting involved, and that's what a social media group can also do for you in the world of digital online stuff. So some do's and don'ts of an actual business page. Do put out content, make sure it's consistent, it's relevant, and it's valuable. Only you can determine if for your audience it's relevant and it's valuable, but more than anything else, make sure it's consistent. And I'm gonna give you a way to use some consistency on your personal page at the end of this webinar, but make sure it's consistent. Engage with everyone who comments. There's nothing worse than you put something out and somebody comments, right? Somebody comments and then it's crickets. There's nothing there. Comment, you guys, like engage with these people. If you need it, have a consistent content calendar or a schedule for posting. You can use Command to schedule postings now, not on your personal page, but on your business page you can. Post multiple times per day. People have asked, how often do I post? About 6 to 7 times a day on social media. And for some of you that might seem like it's a lot, and sometimes it is, and yet I still sell a lot of real estate on social media, and I look at it as a lead gen activity. Also ensure that you're utilizing Facebook stories or Instagram stories as well. Basically, Instagram stories is a small, I would consider it a behind the scenes snapshot, a complete constant B-roll of what you're doing in your life and in your business. And it kind of disappears after a day or so. So it's more of an on-demand type of content than it is, hey, I can go back and read that anytime. It creates more demand for that. Some of the don'ts, don't spam people. For those of you who are putting listings out on social media, please stop doing that all the time. Place the listing out there, boost the ad, but people aren't looking for that anymore, you guys. The days of us holding the key to the kingdom with listings is gone. They don't need us to see that. And I think the sooner we can understand that, the better off we will be. They don't come to us to find listings. They come to us for value and insight and interpretation. Don't be negative or isolate anybody unless you're marketing to a micro niche. Some people call it a niche. What that could be, I'll give you one very clear example. There was a lady who took my course at the beginning when we first started it over a year and a half ago. And she was struggling because her niche of people in real life were gun owners, okay? But she didn't want to isolate people who didn't believe in gun ownership, and she didn't want to make people feel uncomfortable. And I said, okay, what would happen in your business if every person who owned a firearm in your city knew that that's what you believed in? And I'll tell you, you guys, I actually coach her one-on-one as a mastery client right now, and she's having the best year she's ever had. She rebranded herself as On Target Realty, and now she combines that with her love of gun ownership and has gone through the process of doing home defense seminars instead of home buyer seminars. So if you're willing to absorb that niche of people, like I am with the military, she is with the gun owners, go all in with that. And at that point, it's okay to talk about the fact that you believe everyone should own a gun. If you're not willing to make that commitment, stay a little more neutral, if you will. Last thing, don't brag on yourself and your accomplishments all the time. Share some of your failures. Social media is where people go to get to know you. They don't want to know the fake version of you. Everyone stumbles, everyone has a hard time. And there may be moments where you need to just say, look, here's a fail forward Friday that I just had, and I'm going to tell you about something I really screwed up on. It makes you look human, okay? I'm going to talk to you for a minute about groups. I'll let you read what's on the screen if you want to, but today I manage a group that I started about 6 or 7 years ago, and we have over 6,600 people in there now. And unless I don't know about it, almost none of those people are real estate agents. Almost none of those people are in there to sell anything. And all of them are running the group on their own now because they're engaging with each other and helping each other. I also don't spam in there. I use it to disseminate information. And we sell about 75 or 80-ish properties a year as a direct result from either people I've met in that group or people who have come to me because they see me in that group. And so it's something where I'm in there every single day. You guys, this is a lead gen activity. Time block it. Be on purpose with it. If you want a massive business in social media, you have to spend massive amounts of time and effort there. That's just all there is to say about it. If you have questions about groups, you can find me on Facebook. I think I'm almost at the max amount of friends, but you can send me a private message and I will answer your questions all day long. I know that this format is not necessarily set up for a lot of engagement unless I'm answering a question out of the box. But if you want to talk about it, I'm willing to talk to you about it. Just shoot me over a message. My name is Dina Watson, D-E-A-N-A, Watson spelled normally, and you'll see my brand in terms of the picture that you'll be looking for. But for me and like people like Nikki Klein and others, the groups are where we're making a lot of money. And so it does take a little more time and effort, but this is one of the things that we also go into in the full-blown class. So some of the groups you guys can create to get some creative juices flowing. Take a screenshot of this if you like the idea of it. Local housing and neighborhood groups, those are good ones. I also have a group for the neighborhood I live in, and it's just a place for people to get to know me. People will get to know you, like you, and trust you, even if they've never met you in life. They've only met you online. It's okay. Lifestyle groups, networking groups, special interest groups, like I was talking about the gun ownership, the horse stuff, hunters. You know, I even had a girl on my team who made a group for people who own Jeeps. Because apparently you guys are the only people who get a special wave. I'm like, I own a Tahoe. Can we wave at each other when we pass each other? It just doesn't work that way. She did end up getting a lot of business out of that group though. Alumni associations or clubs. Basically, the moral of this is that these people will get to know you and therefore recommend you. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a quick snippet about the program if you want to join us. But before I go into that, I want to give you 3 things that I want you to take away from this class. Number 1 is be consistent. Be consistent. Post every day. If you can, post multiple times throughout the day to stay up on the news feed. Engage with people consistently. The more you're engaging with people, the more they're seeing your social media posts, okay? Social media, Facebook, they determine who sees what. And right now, unless you're purposeful about it, only 10% of the people in your friends list are seeing anything that you put out there. The algorithm that Facebook has created designs it so that the people you engage with the most pop up for you. So get purposeful, and I'm going to share a way to do that in just a second, but get purposeful with engaging with people. And the way that you'll do that, so number 2 is what I call a 5 by 5 by 5. And this is something we go into more details in the program, but I'll give you the gist of it. Because this is going to be a lead gen activity, you should lead gen, not to make a joke. Every day, Monday through Friday, or 7 days a week, whatever you want. I know people who have built massive businesses by just this one thing, doing it consistently over time. The first 5 is send 5 personal messages. Not, hey, how are you? Happy birthday. 5 personal, connected, one-on-one messages a day. The second one is engage in 5 separate groups in your local area a day. The third one is to find 5 people on your friends list to scroll their newsfeed and comment at a high level about something they've posted. Not, oh, that's great. Not a like, a full-blown engagement, right? The last thing I'll say is find your niche or niche and go with it. They say the riches are in the niches. If you're from Texas, I've heard people say that. Basically, it just means take a concept and drill the well. People don't strike gold or oil or water or anything by going on the surface. No one sees miraculous things by water skiing. We only get to the riches when we scuba dive, when we drill the well, when we go really deep with one specific area. And this applies in social media too. Okay, I'm going to chat about the program for 20 seconds. I'm going to answer some of these questions. If I don't answer your questions for time's sake, please just send them to me in a private message and I'll get them answered as soon as I see it. About the program, if you want to join, it's going to get started on the 29th of September, which is in 6 days. And the way you'll find it is if you go to MAPS website, which is maps.com, and you look up the group coaching programs, you will see the list 50 Facebook sales in 50 weeks. That is the link to this course. Or if you don't know how to get there, send me a private message. I'll send you the link. The program is 8 weeks long, and you're going to learn a step-by-step strategy. They are 1-hour webinars. They are all recorded. So if you can't make it one week, that's okay. You can watch it later. You're also put into a Facebook community group that we have for anybody who's ever gone through the program. You can get insights, information, see what other people have done through all of time. You never get removed out of there, so all the ideas from classes to come will stay in there too. But like I said, it's an 8-week program, step by step. We go through more in-depth strategies and tools for how to do this. And we're going to go through topics like how do you select the right colors in your branding, to how do you do digital door knocking, all the things. Like I said, it starts September 29th at 1:30 Eastern time. It'll be at the same time every single week. The investment for the program is $198. And I would imagine that if you even sold one house from anything you learn in this program, that you would probably more than 10x your return on your investment. So with that, if you have questions, let me know, and I'm going to go answer a couple of them. All right, Mitch, do you discuss what content calendar should look like and how to integrate this on command? Yes, we absolutely do. There are places where I'll send you for templates. You can also just Google content calendar social media and some stuff will pop up for you if you don't want to actually join the program. Pamela, how do you keep them out? Do you look them up when they apply for the group? I sure do, ma'am. This is my business. I'm not playing around. So I actually do look all of that stuff up. Let's see. I'm thinking of starting a 3rd YouTube channel for the purpose of rebranding it to my team. Does it make any sense, or should I work with my existing YouTube channel? I would say, John, if you could send me that message offline, I would rather look at what you're doing before I give you a blind answer. When are you doing another Facebook Live? Oh yeah, so I'll be doing another Facebook Live version of this in mid-October. on the MAPS coaching page. Blues and Brews, Laura, that's what it was. I kept forgetting. Can you please send me the link? You guys, I can't actually copy and paste in this platform, so, and I won't remember your email address verbatim, so if you can send me a message to the Dina Watson Facebook page, you will see currently today, if you were to message me, let me see what, you'll see just a picture of me and my kid. So I'm gonna go on here and make sure that that's, or you'll see a picture with me holding a paintbrush, how about that? So if you have that on there, that's the right one. I do have two, so I want to make sure that you are sending a message to the correct person because the other one is for my team. All right, so let's see. Do you do one-on-one looking at each person's brand? Kenra, yeah, so last time I did do that. In everyone in the class, no, but if you want to reach out to me, I can definitely do that for you, and I can check it out and give you some sort of suggestions if you want, for sure. All right, you guys, I know I don't have all of your questions answered, but I also don't necessarily want to keep you too far over. If you have other questions, let me know. I do see someone just said, can you pay for your admin to take the class? Absolutely, that's totally fine. All right, you guys, I hope I gave you a couple of things to think about today. If you have any questions about the program or just Facebook in general, I'm willing to help you either way. So just send me a message and reach out. Hope you have a great afternoon, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.